Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and our first story of the day is by Chicken-Nougat. No, the county is closed today. I get these types of calls quite often ever since the pandemic started. To make it more vague, I work call center. We answer questions about all kinds of benefits, but most times we transfer them to the right number to call, meaning I have no actual power over their cases. This is why I make sure to include the fact that I'm only an information line for my greeting, but so often this is ignored. The following conversation still cracks me up. Thank you for calling, how may I help you?
My money is not in the card.
Okay, let's start with your first and last name.
I don't need to do that right now. I'm telling you my money didn't come in today.
Yes, I understand you're frustrated, but in order for me to check your case, I will need you to state your first and last name.
Fine, whatever. My name is so-and-so.
Okay, well, it looks like you're going to have to call the county for this. You're not due for any renewals or anything, so you might just need to call the county to talk to them. Unfortunately, they're not open today.
Oh my lord, this is ridiculous. What's their number?
It's number, but again, like I said, they are closed today. You might have to try on Monday.
Well, that's not good enough.
I understand you're frustrated, but
can't you just give me some emergency funds or something? I demand you give me emergency funds.
What? No, ma'am, I'm not the county. Like I explained beforehand, the county is closed on weekends, meaning they're closed today.
Then why are you answering calls today?
Ma'am, I've explained this already. I'm not the county, we're an information line. The county is closed today. I'm not the county. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No.
Hangs up. Be honest here, guys. Do you think you would have the patience to do a call center information line like this? Let me know in the comments down below, because sometimes I think I would have the patience for it, but then I read stories like these with people who are just so weirdly unreasonable, and I feel like it would very quickly just completely ruin that patience I would have. So let me know your thoughts. Our next story is by NemoWatches. Oh, I'm quite certain I don't work here. I am a firearms instructor for a law enforcement agency. Generally, we don't get featured on TV shows or movies, so people aren't familiar with our uniforms. We usually wear khaki pants and a red polo with a sewn-on badge. Now, these uniforms don't have a bunch of identifiers like arm patches or logos because we don't get seen in public too much. But we do have the telltale heavy gun belt equipped with a firearm, taser, baton, etc. So while I try to never do this, being a father, I have to stop and pick up some items from a store. Usually I get a call on the way home from the missus asking me for an emergency item. The closest store on the way home is a Target. You can see where this is going. So shopping in a Target while wearing khakis and a red polo is just asking for this. I understand this, so when someone walks up and asks a question, I will generally politely tell them I don't work there, or if I happen to know the answer, I will answer them. However, some people seem to want to cause problems and things don't go as politely as I hope. First, I was trying to buy some shoelaces for my boy, and I clock a guy looking around for an employee. I hear him walking my way, so I look him up and down to make sure he isn't a cop hater or something. He walks up and asks, "Hey, you work here?" gruffly. I respond, "No sir, I don't." He replies, "Are you sure?" I stand and turn to face him. I say, "I'm extremely sure." He looks me up and down and stops at my gun belt, then his eyes dart up to my badge. He pauses and thinks for a few seconds and says, "Oh, you don't work here," and finally walks away. On another occasion, I'm loading a heavy item into my cart when an older lady with a thick New York accent walks up and asks,
"Hey, where is the dog food?"
I reply, "I'm sorry, I don't work here, She cut me off curtly and barked,
"I didn't ask you that, did I?"
I look at her, smile, and I say, "Of course, the pet supplies are over in that corner," and I point to the far end of the store. She looks over and huffs,
"Freak, all the way over there?"
and she starts walking that way. Another young lady walks up to me and says, "I think the pet supplies are in the next aisle." I reply, "Oh, my mistake." This lady smiles at me and says, "Oh well," and keeps shopping. I honestly can't blame OP too much because if I was in this situation and it was a common occurrence to have to go to Target wearing a Target-like uniform and constantly getting confused for an employee, I'd get pretty tired of it very quickly. Add to the mix somebody being just outright rude, no thank you. I'd probably start keeping like a oversized shirt that you can just quickly throw on over the red shirt or something. This next story is by Radeakins. I work at a petrol station, so I apparently work at all of them. Happened just this morning. I'm tired, so we'll keep it short. I had to collect a jacket from a seamstress. I had to pop into a petrol on the way. Now, I've worked in petrol stations for years and still do. The last one had full American-style service and I was the attendant for several years. Left that place years ago and went to another. As I was leaving, a little Toyota pulls in. A woman of about 60 jumps out. OTL is old Toyota lady, me is the night shift zombie.
Can you fill my car?
Immediately spotted she was talking to me. My mistake, old habits. I'm tired having not long finished a night shift. I am a retail vampire. Come join us, the undead. Mwahaha.
Come fill up my car, she repeated, clearly annoyed.
I don't work at this garage, I shouted back over the traffic noise.
You work at that one out of town.
And? Please note, I'm tired, hungry, and have to complete my vital mission. You'd understand if you know the jacket's owner.
That means you work at the rest of them then.
I've read a load of I Don't Work Here Lady stories, and I don't want to go through the crap of Karens. So, no I don't, and got in my car and drove off. There are traffic lights right outside the station's exit and it's red. I heard her say,
"Well, I never,"
and saw her take a picture of my car as I waited at the red. It turned green before anything happened. It's just the way she spoke, that tone that retail workers everywhere hear before getting a migraine. I was too tired to give a darn. Besides, I didn't work there. There's been a lot of kind of dumb assumptions I've seen in stories like these, but an assumption that because you work at one store, you work at all of the stores of that chain, that's probably pretty up there. This next story is by Shifting-Parallax. Accosted by children at work. So I work as a vendor for big box stores. It's an easy job. I make my own schedule, I worked my own hours, and most of it is auditing and taking pictures of shelves. Easy, pays the bills, and I don't hate it. However, the amount of I don't work here stories I have is ridiculous because I'm wearing dark clothing and a lanyard, so I obviously work everywhere. I've got a ton of them. But this one in particular is one I know a lot of you will get a kick out of. This was before COVID. It was a beautiful, crisp day and I was wearing a black t-shirt, gray leather jacket, jeans, had my purse on me, sunglasses on my head, and the only thing indicating that I even was working was a purple Super Nintendo lanyard around my neck. I definitely don't look like an employee. But regardless, a man with two little boys who looked between 4 to 5 was glaring daggers at me. Not saying anything, just glaring, as if somehow I was going to spontaneously gain the ability to read minds. It was super creepy, but I'm not about to approach a random Kevin in the store. I go into an aisle to continue my work when his kids quite literally run up to me and grab me. One has his hands tightly wrapped around my leg and the other one has a hold of my purse. They're tugging at me and screaming, "Daddy wants to talk to you. Don't ignore Daddy," as I'm trying to pull them off of me. I feel like a zebra about to be killed by a pride of lions as the dad starts to storm down the aisle towards me. Definitely a trap. Just as I think I'm done for and my day is ruined, an employee intervened and explained that I don't work there, but she can help. I take this glorious opportunity as help from the gods and pry myself free and book it towards the entrance to take an impromptu lunch break. As I get up there though, I am again captured. I turn around and the same kids have their hands on me. At this point, I'm pretty pissed off and firmly tell them to go back to their dad. All the while they're still babbling and screaming at the top of their lungs the same garbage. Again, I pull myself from their grasp, but they keep trying to cling to me. It gets to the point where a manager actually comes over and asks me what's going on. As I'm relaying the entire story and trying to talk over the screeching kids, I hear another very, very angry man screaming at the top of his lungs. The classic, "How dare you? Who do you think you are?" etc. The dad's back. Awesome. Is he mad at his two small children for running off after a complete stranger? No, of course not. He's mad at this random young lady they're accosting. Apparently, he's convinced that I'm kidnapping his children and call the police. So now that my day really is ruined, I have to sit in customer service as the police go over the footage. The dad won't stop screaming. His kids won't stop screaming. Management is defending me, and I want to sink into the floor. And of course, it's serving as the best birth control of all time and giving me a massive headache as I'm certain my ears are now bleeding. After everything is said and done, I'm cut free and the dad gets charged with wasting police resources and is banned from the store because apparently he's done this before. Parenting at its finest, ladies and gentlemen, because while the dad's behavior was absolutely abysmal, the fact that he condones his children running up to perfect strangers and actually grabbing them, holding onto them, and screaming at them is beyond me. To this day, I can't decide whether or not they were trained to do that, or it was a complete lack of parenting. To me, this sounds like really peculiar behavior to not be something that's trained. The fact that they were so overly clingy to a random stranger when there was not even an exchange that happened, constantly screaming, "Don't ignore daddy," it just seems like some really odd trained behavior. Our next story is by Stu Goddard. Okay, I do work here and was just joking. Near where I work, there is a salvage yard and I would visit it at lunchtime before the lockdown about once a week. It is full of unusual things from around Ireland ranging in age. So it may just be some business clear out with modern bit, but a lot of antiques too. As I have always been interested in old things, I have a fair knowledge of some unusual looking items and I may just even recognize a part or something. The yard has a lot of Georgian and Victorian components because it's in Dublin and there are a lot of such buildings about. Anyway, I strolled down at lunchtime to have a look and never take off my lanyard for work as I always have it on in work. While browsing around the store, I go to the location they put new stock and there is a table with various different brass bits and pieces. While looking at the table, a woman comes over and starts looking at them. She picks up a few bits and looks puzzled, so I casually tell her that the item in her hand is part of a Victorian meat grinder and she seems even more confused, so I hold it and show her how it would fit and then see a complete one and point to that so she understands. She is obviously American but is grateful and then proceeds to point at different things on the table and parts on the table, and I know what they all are. Parts of a door handle, lock mechanism, tinder hooks, etc.
You're really good at your job.
Oh, I don't work here.
You Irish are so funny.
No, I really don't work here. Lady laughs, points to my lanyard, winks.
So funny.
Okay, glad I could help. Lady then walks away snickering. So I continue walking around, and as I go there so often and the place is a mess, I do occasionally push things out of the way to walk by or put things together that have been separated as I can't help myself knowing they could get lost as a group. Lady arrives over at me with her husband holding a Guinness sign. It is a reproduction sign that is new. The husband says, "This says 40 euros, can I get it for 30? I can't do that as I don't work here. He starts haggling. Okay, you can have it for 30 euros, but remember, I don't work here and I already told you. They both laugh. Just tell them at the counter Stu said it was okay for 30 euros. We all laugh and I wish them an enjoyable time in Ireland as they are sure to bring back stories of how funny the Irish are, and I left. A few days later, I went back to the yard and asked the guy at the counter, did an American couple ask for a discount on a Guinness sign? He started laughing. Was that you? So as expected, they went to pay and mentioned me as the helpful guy who said they could get it cheap. The staff proceeded to say nobody called Stu works there, and as it was a new stock, they don't discount it. The couple proceeded to tell them that I had mentioned I didn't work there 4 times, but I was just joking. They all thought it was funny, so they let them have it cheap, and the couple laughed and said, so he does work here. They laughed and said, sure he does. When I have gone in since, they asked me what price they should sell something for. We are pretty sure the Americans think we were all in on it as some Irish sense of humor. Now, I'm not sure if quite oftenly Irish people are overly sarcastic as their way of comedy, but maybe you should stop to consider what they're saying a little bit more, especially when they tell you 4 times. Unless it's the most hilarious thing, I don't think anybody's going to repeat the same sarcastic joke 4 times in a row unless they're really bad at comedic timing. And it wasn't even really 4 times in a row, but it was 4 separate times. And our final story of the day is by Salmundo. We're not where you think we are. This happened when I was in high school. I was working in a convenience store called Quick Stop. A customer asks me when the store closes, and I tell them 1 a.m. How come you were 7-Eleven and you close at 1 a.m. instead of 11 o'clock? It's not a 7-Eleven, it's Quick Stop. Nuh-uh, it's a 7-Eleven. There's no signage inside the store, so I suggest that he go outside and look at the sign. Which he does, then sometime later he comes back in the store and avoids contact with me. I guess we all have days like that. So my guess is they maybe used like Google Maps and maybe like a street view had an outdated view. Maybe it was a 7-Eleven at some point. Or it was just a complete and utter mess up. Depending on when the story was, maybe Google Street View wasn't even a thing. But the idea of outdated information, whether on a map or a GPS or whatnot, might lend itself to a cause. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So, which of these stories was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing and turn notifications on if you haven't so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Any little thing that you do helps the channel grow so much more. Whether it's commenting, subscribing, or just watching the video, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time, right here.